Why the music press in the early 70s disliked Queen. So, journey back with me through the mists of time, way back to the 1970s. No internet, no social media, no mobile phones. In fact, if you wanted to ring me back in those days, you had to ring the telephone box located in the street outside my house. And if I was lucky, some passerby or friend would knock on the door and say, "Here, Mike, there's a phone call for you." Back in those days, if you were in a rock band and you wanted to be successful, you pretty much had to get them good reviews in the music press. Good press for your album and live performances went a long way to securing that success. To circumnavigate the fancies of the mighty Enemy, Melody Maker, and Rolling Stone, you had to have the skin of a rhino, incredible drive, ambition, and self belief, and the arrogance of a Roman emperor. If those guys didn't like you, they would put the boot in on a regular basis. The first time I can remember Queen really appearing in the press was around July 1973, just before the first single Keep Yourself Alive and the first album came out on the 13th of that month. The music papers were very, very suspicious, for Queen seemingly landed a publishing management recording deal with Trident Studios, who were then going to release their first album through EMI. Queen were perceived, believe it or not, as a manufactured band, just appearing out of nowhere. You can't do that. You have to spend years working on your craft, appearing in pubs and clubs until you get your break. No, this will not do. This will not do at all. What they didn't know or realise was the band had indeed performed a stack of concerts in 1971, but in 1972, not seemingly getting anywhere, they decided the best way forward was to go and work on their album. I can remember as clear as day hearing that first single, Keep Yourself Alive. That phased guitar intro, those pounding drums, Freddie's voice. Back then I wanted music to be loud, brash and exciting, and this was all that in spades. But no one played it. The BBC rejected it 5 times, so the only people listening to this song were me and my neighbours, who loved it so much they used to bang on the wall just to let me know they were enjoying it. But the South Yorkshire Times did describe it as good. Next up, we got the album, which is magnificent. Now, you don't expect a band's first album to be the finished article. Mostly you see a band trying to find their way, trying to find their identity, but this was an amazing record. But the UK music press chose to largely ignore it, mostly saying the band were trying too hard to be the next Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin. Now, you can hear in the riff of Doing All Right a perfect Jimmy Page imitation, and elsewhere there are little hints of Zeppelin and Purple. But Queen had a sound that was so their own. It was so uniquely their own. Listen to the vocal harmonies on Son and Daughter. Those harmonies are the stuff of genius. This was a blistering rock and roll band, as good as you will find anywhere. The next thing we heard is that Queen had been signed up as a support band for Mott the Hoople's upcoming UK tour. Of course, the journalists smirked. For all their arrogance, they are now relegated to this. We told you so. The tour ran from October 73 to the end of December 1973. If you were lucky enough to have seen any of those shows, you would have witnessed the birth of one of rock's greatest live acts. You would see Queen grow in confidence night after night. Back then, not many support bands were allowed an encore. It was get on, get off, get out. But Freddie would come back and perform Hey Big Spender. What else? A camaraderie grew up between the bands, and night after night they would deliver. Both of them would deliver stunning shows. During Mott's encores, Freddie would often return again to sing All the Young Dudes with the band. In January 1974, the band played the Sunbury Pop Festival in Australia, where they were booed, taunted and jeered. On leaving the stage, Freddie turned round to the audience and said, "Goodbye, dears. The next time we come back to Australia, we will be the biggest rock and roll band in the world. And you know what? They were. The self-belief the band had was irrepressible. They knew they were good and world domination was just around the corner. Gary Player, the famous golfer, once said, "You know, the harder I work, the luckier I become." And that was the same for Queen. They just worked their socks off and they got there. The band's next big break came in February 1974 when they appeared on UK's Top of the Pops. David Bowie dropped out at the very, very last moment and Queen were offered the spot. To get a place on that programme, to get a slot on that programme back then was a big, big deal. It could push you into superstardom and the band absolutely nailed it. Like Bowie had done the year before with his performance of Starman. All people could talk about the next day was Queen, looking every inch like rock royalty. Sorry, I had to get that in somewhere. The song they performed was Seventies of Riot, and that was rushed out as a single, I think, within 2 days to capitalise on the band's performance. It actually reached the dizzying heights of number 10 on the pop charts. A month later, the album Queen 2 appeared. It's arguably the heaviest album they ever made. It combines prog, art rock, glam and heavy metal. Later that year, when the band toured the album, the 2 concerts I saw were the loudest concerts I have ever heard. My ears were ringing for 2 days. Melody Maker wrote this: "It's reputed Queen have enjoyed some success in the States. It's currently in the balance whether they'll really break through here in the UK. If they do, then I'll have to eat my hat or something. Maybe Queen try too hard. There's no depth of sound or feeling." Record Mirror. This is it, the dregs of glam rock. Weak and overproduced. If this band are our brightest hope for the future, then we are committing rock and roll suicide. Robert Christgau, writing in Cream magazine, referred to it as wimpoid, royaloid, heavyoid, android, void. Queen 2 always struck me as part of the Queen master plan. Whether it was by luck or good management, their foray into the world of hard rock, metal, had given them a foothold, a foundation. What was to follow, no one could have possibly imagined. To be continued. Thank you for listening. Please stay safe, stay well, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.